Every morning, millions of Indians wake up and do the same thing. They add honey to their green tea because they are trying to be healthy. They cook with turmeric because their grandma said it heals everything. They give their children a glass of milk because that's what good parents do. And every single morning, they are being lied to. Not by small street food vendors, not by small local shops, but by brands sitting in their kitchen right now. The ones with national TV advertisements. The ones you have been buying for years and no one ever thought of questioning it. Now, India's biggest brands are Dabur and Patanjali when it comes to honey, and they failed the advanced purity test when the samples were sent to a certified German laboratory. 77%. But here's what made me very uncomfortable when I read this. The fake syrup inside these jars are not just cheap sugar, it was specifically engineered in China to pass every single FSSAI test India uses. Whoever made it studied our food safety regulations and filled all the gap which defeat this FSSAI test perfectly. The pure honey in the German lab and built a product that defeats them perfectly. FSSAI tests the bottle. It says pure honey. The German lab tests the bottle and it says it's sugar syrup. Both are right. The test just was not designed to catch what is actually in there. Now let's talk about turmeric. Stanford University tested 356 turmeric samples from 23 Indian cities. 14% contained lead chromate, an industrial chemical used to paint anti-rust metal coating, and in Patna, it had levels so high that researchers calculated it would push a child's blood level to 10 times above CDC's danger threshold. And you are adding this to your haldi doodh every night. The worst part is you cannot see it, you cannot smell it, you cannot taste it. It looks exactly like good turmeric, and the damage it does to your kidneys and your brain and your blood builds up quietly over the years. This video is going to show you what actually is in your daily food, item by item, real numbers, so you can actually make actual decisions, not just panic and stop eating, but you will know the truth. The honey scam is actually bigger than you think. Let me explain the honey fraud properly because this one genuinely shocked me. Real honey cost a beekeeper around 120 rupees per kilogram to produce. The fake syrup that adulterators use cost between 48 to 70 rupees per kilogram, almost half of the price. So if you fill a jar with 70% syrup and 30% real honey, you would have made nearly double the profit while selling it as 100% pure. Now, FSSAI has test for this. They test for C4, C3 sugars, that is cane sugar. They test for C3 sugars, that is rice syrup. Simple enough. So, what did Chinese manufacturers do? They studied which molecules exactly the FSSAI test for. Engineered the syrup that has none of these molecules, and it passes the C4 test. It passes the C3 test as well. It passes all 22 parameters that FSSAI test for real honey. Chinese company reportedly told CSE researchers directly, even if 50 to 80% of honey is replaced with the syrup, it will still pass all Indian standard test. Think about what that means. The FSSAI test is not failing to catch bad honey. The FSSAI test has been deliberately made useless by people who studied carefully. And the people selling you this honey are not small roadside vendors. They are brands with national TV advertising, the brands you trust, the brands you have been buying for years and years, thinking you are being healthy. we have a bigger problem in our hands. Real honey industry is collapsing because of this issue. Genuine beekeepers cannot compete. Their real honey cost 120 rupees to produce, and they are being undercut by fake honey which is made for 50 rupees. Small farmers who spent years of beekeeping and their businesses are shutting down because honest honey cannot survive in market flooded with this undetectable fakes. Now, the turmeric story actually gets even bad. Because of this lead chromite, story needs more explanation. Why would somebody put lead chromite in turmeric? Because the turmeric powder can look dull after processing. Lead chromite is bright yellow powder that makes turmeric look more vivid and more fresh, more premium, and it almost costs nothing. You add a small amount and suddenly a dull batch of turmeric will look like high quality product. Lead is one of the most dangerous substance for a human body. There is no safe level of lead exposure. It accumulates in your body over time. In children, it damages the brain development, and permanently in adults it raises blood pressure and damages kidney and increases the cancer risk over long term exposure. And you're putting this in your food every single day. In 2025, data shared in Parliament revealed over 1,500 out of 23 spice samples tested across India failed because of safety standards, specifically because of non-permitted colors and pesticides. And this is not because of small vendors in back alleys. This is because of mainstream spice supply. And here's what makes this even worse than the honey problem. With honey, a German lab can detect the fraud. With lead in turmeric, you cannot see it, you cannot smell it, you cannot detect it at home with any sample test. It looks exactly like good turmeric and it smells exactly like good turmeric. The only way is to know for people if it's adulterated is a lab test, which most people will never do. Why FSSAI cannot stop this even when it tries? Now I want to explain something that most of Indian YouTube videos do not explain. Why does this keep happening even though FSSAI exists? Because of a very simple problem. The people who want to cheat have more money and more motivation to study the system, and the system and it has been more difficult than ever for system to catch them. FSSAI's budget is currently 4 rupees per person for 1.4 billion people in India. The US spends equivalent of 1100 rupees per person per year on food safety. The US has a far simpler food chain than India. Fewer farms, fewer suppliers, easy to trace. India has 12 million food retail outlets. FSSAI doesn't have enough officers to inspect even a fraction of them. In many districts, food safety officers are responsible for hundreds of businesses. A simple officer cannot do a meaningful regular inspection at that scale. But here's what people miss. It's just not about the money or people. It is about the test themselves becoming outdated. Fraudsters study these regulations and hire chemists. They invest in research and find gap using testing methods. FSSAI updates its test and fraudsters update their method. It is a constant race right now, and the fraudsters are winning it because they are investing more than the food safety regulatory authority is. And when FSSAI catch violations, what does happen? In 2022 to 2023, Tamil Nadu, it had a 32% food adulteration rate, the highest in the country. By 2023 to 4, it was still 12%. And the year before that, 61% of milk tests in Ahmedabad failed. Similar numbers keep appearing every year in same cities. If somebody adulterates food and gets caught, pays a manageable fine and continues operating next year. The same practices and the same system. The system has not actually stopped anything. It has just created a cost of doing business in the name of manageable fines. Let me go through foods most people consume every day and tell you what actually is found in them. Milk. In Andhra Pradesh this year, 12 people died after drinking contaminated milk with ethylene glycol, engine coolant. A factory in Gujarat was found making synthetic milk from urea and detergent, and they have been years failed constantly in FSSAI standards. One in two in the state known for dairy. Honey, 77% of major brand samples have failed advanced NMR test. Adulterants are engineered to pass this regulatory test. What are you likely pouring into your green tea every morning thinking it is a natural sweetener, maybe a sugar syrup with a low coloring? Turmeric and other spices. Lead chromate in turmeric. 14% of samples across major Indian cities in 2025, over 1,500 to 23,000 spice samples failed because illegal colors and pesticides. Methyl yellow, a toxic industrial dye, is often found in turmeric and dal to make them even look better. Edible oils. In Delhi and Gujarat 2023, 1 in 4 edible oil samples were found adulterated, mixed with cheaper oils and in many cases with mineral oil, which your body cannot fully process and accumulates in your tissues over time. Ghee. In Agra, 25 thousands of fake ghee was seized. It was made from urea and palm oil, packed in containers to look like major brand. The Tirupati temple was being supplied adulterated ghee for 5 years, and it took 5 years before anyone even got it. Now I want to stop here and say something important. Not every packet you buy has this problem. The majority of food sold in India given in any day is safe, but the specific items I just listed, milk, honey, turmeric, ghee, edible oils, these are the categories where data consistently shows real and dangerous adulteration, not diluted or substandard. Genuinely dangerous, these are exactly the foods Indian households buy every day, every time, and trust the most. Here's what viral videos get wrong and what a real risk looks like. Now, let me tell you what is not as dangerous as Indian things. Plastic rice, plastic eggs, rubber cabbage, these go viral every few months to few weeks. Every time they do, lakhs of people panic. Here's the reality: manufacturing fake plastic rice cost more than producing real rice. There is no profit motive. These are just hoaxes. They are not happening at any scale at all. The videos you see usually are misidentified, overcooked, or starchy. Rice behaves differently, which is what people are actually filming. Freshly cooked street food made in front of you at high temperatures is not your biggest risk. The heat kills most of the bacteria. The danger is in the street food, which from the water they use in the chutneys and pani puri, not in cooking itself. The real risk is not what goes viral. The real risk is what stays quiet, slow, and cumulative. Lead in turmeric building up in your bones over 10 years and adulterated oil in your daily cooking affecting your liver over 20 years. Synthetic honey spiking your blood sugar every morning for decades. These kinds of damages does not make a dramatic video. Nobody films their gradual kidney damage, and so does not it get views. But it is far more dangerous than plastic rice. Okay, real things you can do right now. Honey, buy only from brands that display NMR test certifications. A small number of brands in India now do NMR testing and show it clearly. If the label does not mention NMR test, treat it as unverified and buy alternatively from local beekeepers, which is direct and raw unprocessed honey from a known source. And definitely it's better than a brand in a shiny jar. Turmeric. Buy a whole turmeric root and grind it at home when possible. Lead chromate is added as powder. not to the whole truths, because the visual effect only works on powder. Alternatively, buy from brands that specifically test for heavy metals and publish the results. If you're using a powder regularly, consider getting a water test and milk. Buy from brands with consistent testing and records with proper cold chain. Loose milk from vendors has high risk. If you have no choice, boil thoroughly. And ghee. Check the seal carefully before buying fake ghee and adulterated oils. They are mostly repacked in containers mimicking major brands. Check the seal if it's factory sealed, not refilled by some local stores or some places with high turnover. Stock that sits for months is more likely to be substituted. File complaints. FSSAI has a direct complaint portal, fssi.gov.in. If you buy something that looks and tastes wrong, report it. This is a message for those people who are getting scared because of fear mongering. India grows and produces an enormous amount of food for 1.4 billion people every single day. Most of them are safe and system exist. Specific places where it is failing is dairy, honey, spices, oil, ghee are exactly the everyday goods Indian families trust completely. And the people failing us are not just lazy regulators. They are also sophisticated criminals who have studied the system carefully and found every gap in it. And you deserve to know this, not to panic, not to stop eating, but to make better life choices about where you buy, what you buy, and be specific about things and be specific about the brands you only trust. The only thing that changes in long term is more testing, stronger punishment, and FSSI that gets the budget and the authority it actually needs to do this job properly. Until then, honey from a known source, whole turmeric from roots, sealed ghee from high turnover stores, and always boil your milk is a better alternative. Share this with your family and friends, especially the turmeric part. Nobody is talking about that one. See you in the next one. This is Akash signing off. Take care.